Hey everyone, it's Emma from Body Love HQ here, and I hope you're having a gorgeous day so far. So we are still here in Bali on the Body Love Bali retreat, and we've had a wonderful morning of workshops and meditation and swimming and massages and all the things we've been doing every day. But I actually learned something really interesting from my retreatants, from the body lovers here on retreat, and I thought it'd be really great to share it with you as well. So one of my favorite things, besides the fact I actually produce one, but one of my favorite things is listening to podcasts. And the reason I love podcasts so much is because we are able to kind of learn or become inspired or get entertained in a way that's quite different to everything else. It's different to social media, it's different to watching TV, it's different to listening to the radio. But what I love about it is it's kind of really portable, and you're able to get in touch with it in lots of different ways. So I listen to podcasts every morning when I walk my dog. I often listen on longer car rides, and I like to listen sometimes when I'm cooking a meal. So podcasts are a great way to get educated, as I said, or get inspired, learn something new, or just be entertained. It's a great way to sort of leave the TV behind. I can be a bit of a TV addict from time to time. So I was talking to the ladies today about podcasts, and I realized one of the biggest reasons why they don't listen to podcasts is they don't really know how. So when I release a podcast episode, which is most weeks, I usually send one out in an email. So I put the podcast inside a blog post that you can read on the internet, and you can often click on a link in my email, and you can actually listen to the podcast there. But what happens if you receive the email when you're at work and you're too busy and you can't be listening to a podcast? It must be difficult to go back to the podcast and find it and listen to it and all that sort of stuff. So it's really important to start using apps, or find a podcast app that you can use, and then you subscribe to the podcast. So I've got my iPad here so I can explain to you how that works. And I just want to say a funny thing. When I first got this iPad, well, not this one, my first iPad, my friend Linda said, because iPhones came first, she goes, this is my giant iPhone. And when she put it up against her ear, it was so funny. It looked like she was tiny and she had this big iPhone. Anyway, that was funny at the time, maybe. So what you want to do, if you're an Apple user, you can go to your app store and just type in the search podcast. So we'll do that. Hopefully the internet's not going to go really slow on me right now, but we're going to go into podcast. Now another app you can use is Overcast. Overcast has this really cool trick where you can share clips of audio with your friends or on social media. So Overcast is really cool, but that's only available on Apple. Or if you have an Android phone, you could download Stitcher. Most podcast apps are great. Podbean is one that I use as well. So Stitcher or Podbean are probably your favorites to try on an Android. So the Apple Podcast is just downloading. I don't know if you can see it, but it's that purple one there. That's actually your Apple Podcast. So you open up the podcast app, no matter which one you have. It's telling me some different things. No matter which one you've got, there's going to be a search bar. So click on search or find or something like that. And so obviously I'd love you to subscribe to my show or listen to my show. So we put in the Body Love Show and just look for it. And usually you want to look for under all podcasts. So obviously my internet's going a bit slow right now. Okay, great. So it's popped up with a whole bunch of shows about body love, but there's me, so you can click on that app. And I just want to show you something. When you've never listened to a podcast before, there's that button that says subscribe. Now some of the apps will say follow, same thing. So you just click on subscribe, and that means every time I release a new podcast episode, it's going to show up and sometimes give you a notification depending on your notification settings. And basically there's all the podcasts I've ever released are there. Then once you know how to use that, You can listen to all sorts of podcasts. You can use that search bar to look up different topics, look up different names. You can find all sorts of things in that search bar once you've got your podcast app open. So that's basically it. I just wanted to show you that. So it works. Apple Podcasts for an Apple device, or an Android device, use Stitcher or Podbean or something like that. The other thing I just want to quickly show you is that Spotify now has a lot of podcasts on it as well. So if you listen to Spotify, again, you can search for the Body Love Show and you'll be able to find the podcast when it pops up. Still looking Bali internet. Okay, so the Body Love Show is there, and with the Body Love Show on Spotify, you actually would be following it rather than subscribing to it, and then basically you press play, and so then your machine starts to play the podcast. So it was really interesting to learn that a lot of people don't listen to podcasts because they don't know how. So hopefully you've found that really helpful. And I'd love it if you subscribe to my podcast and some of the other amazing podcasts out there, because there's so much to learn, so much to be entertained by, and it's a really cool way to get entertained, learn things, and be inspired. So I hope you found that interesting and helpful. Let me know in the comments if you've subscribed to the podcast. I'd love to know. And I look forward to speaking to you soon. See ya.